Elizabeth, 94, boom. Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, 82 and 81, boom, boom. Cicely Tyson, 95, boom. And I am 65, boom. A few years ago, I was in Costa Rica with my surfboard, and looking down at my legs, standing strong in the powerful force of nature, I had a moment of grace. I thought, I love these legs that have supported me all these years. I looked back at the beach, and I saw a gorgeous young woman walk by, and I thought, may you be so blessed to live this long, be this strong and healthy, and live a life you love. With not one drop of envy, instead of wishing I was her, I felt grounded in my body and grateful it served me well. And I was clear I would not give up one single experience for that moment. But best of all, I felt sexy and hot, and it came from the inside out. In 2008, I made the world a promise that all women would be leaders in their lives and the world by 2020. I just turned 50, 3 years earlier, was single, fully self-supporting in a great career, and I had just thrown myself a birthday party that would rival any wedding. The year before, I'd gone to a spa with a sports therapy program, and I went to see a therapist about my depression at turning 50. He said, let me get this straight, you're an athlete. I'd just done my first walking marathon for Avon to raise money for breast cancer in honor of my mother who died at 34. You're healthy, you look amazing, what's in a number? For me, the fear was about getting older and being invisible. As women age, we become invisible. It usually starts around 40, sometimes earlier, and it continues as we age, even though 40 is when we step into our maturity and power. At 43, I was trying to get pregnant, and I could not. I discovered I was going through early menopause. I was catatonic for days. I felt like I just started to live my life, and it was over. Visions of being a crone, single, nobody wanting to date me or have sex. I was going to spend the rest of my days driving around with just me and my dog like my widowed aunts. Or only centenarian men would be interested in me. I tried to talk to other women about menopause, and I found it's not something that women like to talk about. If I had a mother, I could have asked her. So instead, I reached out to 2 of my aunts. I was frustrated by the lack of information. And then I found the book by Dr. Christian Northrup called Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom, first published in 1994. Contrary to popular myth, women get better as we age. Think life is over at menopause? Guess again. Think sex is done? Wrong again. Our bodies are designed to birth and nurse children, whether we ever become mothers or not. And when we're done with that phase of life, we actually become free of our bodies. No longer driven by the ebb and flow of hormones, we experience a rebirth where a lifetime of experiences and a newfound sense of self can motivate us to create significant changes in our lives and explore new frontiers. A real renaissance. Back to the sports therapist. He went on to explain, in the early days, if someone was in debtor's jail and they turned 50, they were released. They celebrated living long enough to turn 50. It's called the Jubilee year. He said, why don't you throw yourself a Jubilee birthday party? And I did. In the time since I've celebrated, I've done several triathlons, including 2 in New York City. I fell in love and married the love of my life at 58 in a strapless Oscar de la Renta gown, pure confection, totally shameless. And I learned to surf. Somewhere deep inside of me, I must have developed a newfound sense of self or self-esteem, or a true north, an inner knowing. We all have it. We just have to listen to that little voice in us and be true to ourselves, honor ourselves, not transgress our own values, stand strong for what we believe in, even in the face of no agreement. This is courage. Have the fear and do it anyway. And I started to own who I was. Our society deems women invisible, at a certain age, and this is something we can change now and forever, so that our younger sisters after us never feel their light go out. There's so many myths and misconceptions about women aging in our Western culture, including as we get older, we become invisible. What happens is we can feel less valued and sometimes downright disregarded. There's an entire population that feels disenfranchised. What happens is, internally, we feel invisible and we feel like our life doesn't have much meaning, and we take on the role of being invisible. As women age, we have so much to offer, but we believe the myth, live as if it's true, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Young women do not know what this is about. And it's my desire that younger women who have never experienced this never do. Rather than warn our younger sisters, it's my desire to mentor and support women and talk about this so we stop accepting it and we stop passing it down. This will not only serve our communities, but it will have a global impact as well. The power of one tiny wave in Japan can make its way to the shore in Costa Rica. Like the waves I stood in, it starts as a swell somewhere way out in the ocean, and by the time it reaches the shore and breaks, its force is irresistible. Water has an undeniable ripple effect, and your actions can have this kind of effect too. It starts with you. Do one thing. It doesn't matter how big or small, because like the waves, its force is undeniable. If you feel invisible, look yourself in the eye, in the mirror, and say something positive that you believe is true about yourself. Like, you're amazing, you go girl. You suit up and show up no matter what. I'm so proud of you, go get them. When you do this, your light actually comes on. We can feel older and visible at any age. To stay visible, continue to affirm yourself with positive thoughts. And if that's tough, move a muscle, change a thought. Sometimes it just takes a smile. Becoming visible is our responsibility, not only for ourselves, but for our brothers and sisters. When we stay visible, they come to see us as heroes, and they benefit from our wisdom. I have many heroes, but definitely Jane Fonda. I knew her as a political activist and actress during the Vietnam War in the 70s. In the 80s, she reinvented herself and changed the world with her exercise video, Jane Fonda's Workout, best-selling video home system of all time. In the 90s, she retired from acting, only returned in 2005, and co-founded the Women's Media Center with Gloria Steinem and Robin Morgan to amplify the voices of women in the media. In 2015, Jane stepped into her principal role, co-starring in Grace and Frankie. And in 2018, she was featured in the award-winning documentary, Jane Fonda in 5 Acts. Jane is still my hero. As recent as October of last year, she was first arrested for protesting climate change. She has inspired millions of people, and Jane, in turn, has been inspired by young people, especially the environmental activist Greta Thunberg, who prompted Jane to commit the rest of her life to climate change. Like Jane, you have a principal role to play in order to create this kind of change. Let's all embrace our 5 acts.